Hello, everybody. I'm Marianne Mead Ward, Mayor of the City of Burlington, and welcome to another installment of Burlington Matters, where we assemble local community leaders and residents and people we think that you will want to talk to and hear about issues of interest in our community. And today is more of the same great stuff. We have two wonderful panelists with us today to talk about environmental issues in the city. So joining me today, without further ado, is Marwa Salim, who is the operations manager of Burlington Green, and Lynn Robichaud, who is our manager of environmental sustainability here at the City of Burlington, and it has been helping lead our climate efforts for many, many years. And of course, more recently, our climate action plan that arose out of the emergency declaration that we just declared. So there's a lot going on, and Earth Day is almost upon us, April 22nd, it's coming up. So I'm going to come to you first, Marwa. Burlington Green always has lots of community initiatives going on, some virtual and some that have had to change a little bit because of where we are right now in the life of our city with COVID-19, but still lots of things continuing. So why don't you walk us through what is coming up for Earth Day and talk about the community cleanup, which would normally be happening right about this time. Go ahead, Marwa.
Sure, thanks, Marianne. As most of the community knows, our spring annual community cleanup is our flagship event. We bring together all sectors of the community. We've been hosting the event since 2011. We've had schools come on board, families, community groups, businesses, just everyone looks forward to this fun and active community cleanup where you can go out into your backyard, your local neighborhoods, your park, your school, and clean up. With COVID, things are a bit different, and we put everyone's safety first. So we made the decision to postpone the community cleanup for the duration of the stay-at-home order. But we look forward to resuming once that's lifted. However, we believe that Earth Day is every day. There's always stuff that you can do for the environment, even in your own backyard. So what we have going on at the moment are a lot of green up activities that folks can do from the safety of their own homes and however they see fit. You could plant a native shrub, you can start your pollinator garden, you can remove invasives, you can just connect with nature. Because we're finding with the pandemic, people are really eager and keen and more in tune with nature and connected. We get that all the time. So now with the weather getting nicer, it is a perfect opportunity to do that. We have a bunch of resources on our website to help guide folks along the way. And we have some fun giveaways as well.
That sounds like a lot of fun. So that's burlingtongreen.ca, right? Yeah. I think, if I remember correctly. That's awesome. So it's great to have those resources. And I'll come back to some other things that you're working on as well. I want to come to you, Lynn, to give us an update on where our climate action plan is at the city. Let our viewers know where that's at and what the next steps are going to be.
Yeah, so the climate action plan is in the implementation stage. Council approved it last year, and there's a sort of 7 key program areas, and we're certainly focusing on about 4 or 5 of them right now. But one of the key ones that Council asked us to look into last year was the home energy retrofit program. So this is helping with homeowners looking at opportunities to improve energy efficiency, but really do that deep dive of looking how they can reduce the use of fuel, whether it's fossil fuels in heating their homes or water or things like that, or improving insulation. So we're working with an excellent organization called the Center for Climate Change Management at Mohawk College, and they're doing some great research and working with other communities as well on this. And something the mayor knows a lot about is our integrated mobility plan. As you know, transportation is a significant source of greenhouse gas emissions in our community. And so transportation is doing a really innovative project right now, looking at how can we move people, not necessarily focusing on cars, but really looking at how can we support active transportation and transit. And so that's a key part of our climate action plan. And then a third area that we really want to start looking at is recognizing that active transportation and transit is important, we also need to figure out how can we support electric mobility and e-bikes, things like that in our community to reduce the use of fossil fuels in the automobile sector. And this ties in really nicely with some of the work that Burlington Green's doing in their Make the Switch program. So that's just sort of a small sample of things that we're working on, but lots going on.
Lots of good initiatives. So let's talk about what that Making the Switch program is, Marwa, from Burlington Green. And maybe for folks who may not know what you do, a little bit about Burlington Green. As you probably know, I was actually a founding member of Burlington Green way back in the day. It was one of the first, I think it might have been the first community group I joined when I first moved to Burlington and with my family in 2020. So I've been around for 21 years, and I think Burlington Green's been going almost that long, but maybe not quite, but almost. Talk to our community about sort of what the organization does. And there's lots of partnerships with the city. We just touched on community cleanup, green up, community gardens has been one, but also the Switch Up program. Go ahead.
Sure. Burlington Green was established in 2007. We're a community-driven, nonpartisan registered charity. Through various initiatives, we work with all sectors of the community to protect the environment, mitigate climate change, and create a healthier, more environmentally responsible Burlington. We have the whole spectrum of programming to really help people on their journey, and we meet people where they are, whether it's through education, action opportunities like our tree plantings, our habitat restorations, our event greenings, back when we had large-scale events, which we look forward to resuming, to also hosting webinars and just opportunities for people to get together, have some skill building going on, and workshops for youth. We work with the schools, and to your point, we've worked with the city on our community cleanup, green up since 2011. And we started the first community garden with the city, and that has grown and expanded to our Grow to Give program. Make the Switch is also about how can we enable the community to take the steps and make the choices that they need to help all of us wean off of our sort of carbon reliance and onto more sustainable choices. To Lynn's point, home energy is huge. It is a huge contributor of our emissions. So we promote things like heat pumps and kind of look at what is the fear factor? What are people sort of a bit hesitant about? And there's a lot of science and there's a lot of innovation out there around these technologies. We'd love to see more of the shift towards that. Things like switching to an electric vehicle and sort of what does that take? Where are people at with range anxiety? And we love to promote our expanding charging infrastructure because that's one of the big things that we've heard from community. But time and time again, we find willingness and eagerness in the community to make the switch. So we've taken that, at all levels, make the switch to permeable surfaces, install some sunroofs on do like a garden on your rooftop or some solar panels. What can you do in your household, in your business to really help you make the switch? We're about encouraging all of that. Oh, and one more thing, to learn more about us, we're burlingtongreen.org.
.org, okay. Important to clarify that. Thank you for that. And there's so many great resources on the webpage for people that do want to make the switch. And with so many people at home now, right? They're at home and they're looking at home renovation programs. And so, the list that you just gave, this is an opportunity for people as they're already thinking about, what can I do? Because I can't travel and I can't, really do much of anything right now under the stay-at-home orders. There's an opportunity to look around your house and, the rain barrels, the permeable pavers, the plantings that you were talking about. Those are all almost free, but virtually free activities, certainly cost-effective that people can do. So certainly recommend if you're looking for something for you and the family to do and the kids, then there's lots of ideas on the burlingtongreen.org webpage for folks to look at. Thank you for that. Lynn, coming back to you, there's a number of organizations throughout the country, and a number of different recognitions, I'll call it that, ways that the city can try to achieve. Most of them with the word blue in it. So there's blue dot, and there's blue zones, and there's different blue communities. Maybe talk to us about why blue. It'll make a lot of sense once folks know why that. But there's different categories and different levels that cities can commit themselves to achieving. And the city has done some of those things already, or are on our way. So walk us through sort of what all those rankings and who does them, and what does it all mean, and why is it blue? The color of our planet, I guess. talk to us about why it's blue.
Sure, thank you for that question. So a few years ago, and I think Burlington Green might have been involved in this, in encouraging council to adopt the Blue Dot resolution. And Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, because it has been a few years, but it was coming from the David Suzuki Foundation, if I recall correctly. And it really is recognizing the environment in our, or to have an environmental bill of rights at the national level, recognizing the importance of our environment across the country. And I think we've seen how important that is, especially with COVID, and how important that ability for us to get out and have that green space and open space and make sure it's protected in our local areas, that it's so important. So council definitely adopted the Blue Dot resolution. And then there's another one called Blue Communities, and that's the Council of Canadians, another organization that's been around for many years, started up by Maud Barlow. A lot of their work is protecting water in our water resources across the country. And way back in 2010, I think it was, council approved the direction to restrict the sale of bottled water in our city facilities, recognizing that tap water and the water resources we have should definitely be open and available to the public in all our facilities. And to council's credit, they supported us with a program to upgrade water fountains and bottle fillers so that people could use their reusable water bottles. And I have to say, it was a pretty successful program. And following on the heels of that, with the Blue Communities program, there is some resolutions that council can pass and recognize themselves as a blue community through the Council of Canadians. So we've done the one step, we're recognizing water as a human right. Council did that resolution a few years back. But we're just working with our members of council to see if they want to go to the next couple of steps and approve resolutions that water are recognizing the work we've already done on restricting the sale of bottled water, as well as that council supports open and public water and wastewater services in our community. So that's something we're working on. I expect that it will be supported. But yeah, there's lots of blue initiatives out there.
That's great, yes. And we're certainly, this council has been very, very supportive, both at the city and at the regional level, of environmental issues. And a lot of that is kudos to members of our community coming forward and bringing these ideas to us over many years. And this is where Burlington Green and the community that you mobilize, all of your members and the people that support you, and the way that we can spread information back and forth. We hear a lot of great ideas straight from our community, and and that helps all of us do a better job. So I'm always grateful for that, and for residents even bringing forward this last couple of resolutions for us to work on, in addition to the ones that we've already done. And I think there's one more, and it may be part of the Council of Canadians water blue zone issue, but if I'm not mistaken, our LaSalle Marina and maybe the Beachway was also recognized. Blue flag, that's it. The blue flag, which is yet another designation, and it's really related to how you manage water resources and water activities on your shoreline. So things like a marina, and how how to manage the potential negative impacts that could be from boating activities. So can you tell us a little bit about the Blue Flag program as well, Lynn?
Yeah, that's something that I know our Parks and Recreation staff have looked into for the Beachway and LaSalle Marina. I'm not sure on all the, there's a number of criteria I think we have to meet. And I think we've actually done most of them. One of the points that we might still have to work on, it might have to do with lifeguarding at the beach. And I'm not the expert in this program, but it would be a great program if we could get accredited with the Blue Flag program. And then there's also a Blue W program to add to the blue designations. And that was, we've done some work in Burlington on that. And that's recognizing retailers or restaurants where somebody, if you need to refill your water bottle, and if you see a Blue W in the store, you know that if you went in, they would refill your water bottle for you at no charge or no questions asked. So that's kind of a neat program too. Again, promoting our tap water in our community.
Yeah, that's a great initiative as well. Marwa, you had mentioned that one of the things that you do is films, and I know there's a virtual event screening coming up, Seeding Change. Talk to us a little bit about what that is all about and what residents can expect.
Sure. So May 19th, that's our AGM, and shortly after, we will be hosting a discussion about the movie. Folks will have had an opportunity to see it a bit beforehand, and then we'll come together to kind of discuss what are some of the key takeaways and how can we integrate those. The movie will be available to our subscribers, and it's a documentary which gives an inside look into how large corporations affect climate change and how what we do with our wallets will really affect how the industry is heading. It takes a first-hand look at mission-based businesses, and some of them are featured, and then it opens up a discussion on what the opportunities for us as consumers are moving forward and what kind of change we would like to see. So it addresses triple bottom line and just kind of being more mindful of how we consume. Very fitting, I think, the times and where we are at now.
That's great. Good something to do while you're still at home, something you can enjoy safely from the comfort of your home, including the discussion. Lynn, we talked a lot about the resources that are available to the community, and one of the other resources that's available is your Take Action Burlington blog. And I know that's been going for a long time too. So tell us a little bit about that, where they can find it and what they might find in it of use to them.
Yeah, that's it's, for many years we were trying to figure out how do we reach out to the community with things that are happening, at the city or in the community, things that are Burlington Green are working on. So it's takeactionburlington.ca, and it's our blog that we post once or twice a month. And I think our latest posting was about the Burlington Green Green Up event. We write a lot about like climate action now, if what people can do, what the city is doing, and it's a great way because people like the mayor tweets the Take Action Burlington posts, and it gets out to the community and really spreads the word about what's happening on the green side. We've even promoted things that schools do in their classrooms and things like that. So it really is a great way to keep engaged on sort of green initiatives in our community.
Yeah, it's a great resource because I know so many people want to do something, and where do you start saving a planet, right? You start in your own backyard. Literally, as we've talked about earlier, you start with one small step that builds steps over time. And so having that resource available and the ideas on both the Take Action Burlington blog as well as Burlington Green webpage around steps that people can take today to make a difference is really helpful. And it really empowers the community to feel like it's not a problem that is so overwhelming that we'll never get to, because we got to this through 1,000 different actions, hundreds of thousands of actions over many years. We got to where we are now, and we can reverse it the same way. So really important to ensure residents have that information available. And speaking of which, some other things that are on the Burlington Green webpage and things that you do, you have a community climate hub and nature-friendly Burlington program. So talk to us a little bit about both of those.
Sure. So we're launching the Community Climate Hub right here in Burlington. Hubs are awesome. They're like a place to bring everyone together, share resources, listen to each other's stories, share our experiences, and just have that space and have it be resident driven, because as you said, everyone is contributing in their own way and often from their own backyard. So what is their story and what are the resources that they need to have? It's also shining a light on some of the great examples that we're seeing. And hopefully together we'll be able to measure how the city and the community are progressing in terms of lowering their carbon emissions. We were probably looking at a virtual launch and just until kind of the current circumstances, but we look forward to establishing a strong foothold in the community and just having that kickoff. Another new program I'm super excited about is our Nature-Friendly Burlington. Again, with the pandemic, we're finding everyone is sort of rediscovering. There's more time for leisurely walks. There is sort of more time to visit your neighborhood parks. So we're helping people discover the hidden gems in our city and, rediscover the Lake Ontario shore areas in northern Burlington around the escarpment. We're asking folks to tell us, what have you missed the most? What is your favorite park? What activity do you enjoy doing the most in our parks? And we're getting a lot of really good feedback and responses, and just that feeling of creating that connection with nature, I think for mental health reasons as well during the pandemic, is very, very important.
Absolutely. It's I've always been a tree hugger and a hiker. I grew up, my father and my family gave me a love of nature. So he was a Bruce Trail guide back in the day. He led lots and lots of hikes. He was a park ranger in the United States for a while. I had the privilege of running around the hills of Yosemite National Park when I was young. So I've always had the benefit of getting outside into nature as mental health. And folks will say, what do you do to decompress? And the best way for me is just to get out amongst the trees and take a hike, and in a nice way. Take a hike. When I tell people to take a hike, it's actually, I'm meaning that as a compliment and as a sign of that I care for you. So, and one of the great things now with our conservation parks, it's one of the reasons actually we moved to Burlington, our family, is so that we could be closer to nature. And of course, half of Burlington's landmass is rural. Northern Ontario, Northern Burlington, and we're right on the doorstep of the Bruce Trail, our conservation parks. And for folks that are wanting to get out to our parks, our libraries actually have free passes that you can book. They are in hot demand, so get yourself signed up. But if cost is an issue for anyone, there is a fee or an annual membership. It's the best way to enjoy our conservation parks. And there's lots of free ones, obviously, in the city of Burlington as well, that are amazing. So, make sure you get out and enjoy some nature. And we are asking people to do that for now during lockdown in your own neighborhood. So try as much as you can to stay in your neighborhood. But Conservation Halton has actually implemented a reservation system so that people can book their time and to reduce crowding. So if you go there, you can be assured that you'll have a spot and it won't be overcrowded when you get there. So it's a great way to get out and enjoy what Mother Nature has to offer here in our city. So in our last few minutes, one of the things I did want to talk about with you, Lynn, is just the integration of all the different activities in the city with climate action. So you touched on transportation planning earlier. There's of course land use planning that is related to climate. We know that buildings and vehicles are the two biggest sources of energy emissions and greenhouse gases. And so what is the city doing in some of those other areas to integrate what we believe about climate and our efforts to reduce our impact on climate change into all of those other departments and activities?
Yeah, great question. So, off the bat, I want to recognize that we have a lot of community stakeholders that we work with, like Burlington Green, to work together to engage our community. And the work that Burlington Green is doing is fantastic with their new climate hub. So really happy to see that. But at the city too, I think there's the whole leadership aspect for our own operations. So we're working on a plan right now to identify those facilities and whether it's parking lots, buildings, that we can put solar panels and expand the use of renewable energy at our city facilities. One of our newest facilities up at City View Park will be net carbon neutral building. We'd like to see the development of Skyway Arena as being close to being net carbon neutral as possible. Arenas are a little more challenging, but we're up to the task. The fleet itself, like our vehicles are on the road, and we work closely with Jessica and identify areas where we can add electric vehicles to our fleet. And my understanding, there's a few more coming and to be added to that. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and I think the city can show leadership. I look forward to working with our school board friends, the Royal Botanical Gardens, McMaster, all our partners in the community, and to help us meet the targets to reduce our carbon emissions.
Thank you so much. It truly does take a collaborative partnership effort. It takes a village to save a planet, and it's great to see that. So again, thank you to my guests. We are out of time. Marwa Salim from Burlington Green, Lynn Robichaud from the City of Burlington. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for watching and wrapping up today's edition of Burlington Matters. I'm Marianne Mead Ward, Mayor of the City of Burlington. We'll see you next time.